land where earth meets heavens, ancient stones whisper tales, and where nature paints its landscapes with colors you've never imagined. That land is Peru. This isn't just a country, it's a journey through time, a story written in mountains, jungles, deserts, and forgotten ruins. And if you stay with me, you'll discover secrets that will leave you breathless. Because Peru is far more than Machu Picchu. It's a living wonder, a place that captures your imagination the moment you arrive. Our adventure begins in Lima, the capital city, a vibrant metropolis perched dramatically on the cliffs of the Pacific Ocean. At first glance, Lima's chaotic, bustling traffic, towering buildings, and millions of people moving at once. But beneath that first impression lies a city layered with centuries of history and culture, where every street corner tells a story. This is a place where the past and present are constantly colliding, where colonial plazas sit next to modern skyscrapers, and where traditions survive in the rhythm of daily life. Lima was founded in 1535 by Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro, and it quickly became the crown jewel of Spanish power in South America. The Plaza Mayor, the very heart of the city, still feels like stepping back into that era. Walk into this grand square, and you're surrounded by architectural masterpieces. The stately government palace, the Baroque-style Cathedral of Lima, and the ornate Archbishop's Palace, with its famous wooden balconies. These aren't just buildings, they are living reminders of a city that once ruled over an empire stretching across the continent. But Lima is not only about its colonial treasures. The city is also home to ancient pre-Columbian history that predates the Inca Empire. Right in the middle of the modern city stands Huaca Pucllana, a massive adobe pyramid built more than 500 years ago by the Lima culture. Imagine that giant walls of clay bricks, arranged like a puzzle, rising above busy streets and glass towers. It's a surreal reminder that Lima is built quite literally on top of history. And then there's the food. Lima has earned the title of the culinary capital of South America, and some would argue, the entire world. Here, cuisine is not just about eating, it's about storytelling. Every dish tells a tale of Peru's diverse cultures, its geography, and its people. Picture a plate of ceviche. Fresh fish marinated in lime juice, spiced with chili, and served with corn and sweet potato. It's sharp, refreshing, and unforgettable. Or imagine biting into lomo saltado, a sizzling beef stir-fry that combines traditional Peruvian ingredients with Chinese flavors brought over by immigrants generations ago. This blend of cultures, this explosion of flavors, it's what makes Peruvian cuisine world-class. Top chefs in Lima have earned international recognition, and food lovers from all over the globe now travel here just to taste what the city has to offer. But Lima is not just a city of the palate, it's a city of energy. Along the cliffs of Miraflores, paragliders float above the crashing waves of the Pacific, painting the sky with their colorful wings. Couples stroll along the Malecon, a long boardwalk overlooking the ocean, while surfers ride the waves below. In Barranco, Lima's bohemian district, art comes alive in colorful murals, hidden cafes, and music that fills the night air. This is the soul of Lima, creative, vibrant, and constantly moving. And yet, just beyond this modern rhythm, there are quiet places where you feel transported to another time. The San Francisco Monastery, with its haunting catacombs, offers a glimpse into Lima's spiritual history. Narrow streets lined with colonial houses, wooden balconies leaning precariously over the roads, tell stories of families who lived there centuries ago. In these places, time feels slower, and the noise of the city fades away. Lima is also a city of contrasts. The wealth of colonial palaces and gourmet restaurants exists alongside humble neighborhoods where traditions remain strong. Street vendors sell anticuchos, grilled skewers of meat on smoky corners, while musicians play Andean flutes in crowded markets. It's a reminder that Lima is not just about grandeur or tourism, it's about real people, everyday life, and a cultural heartbeat that keeps the city alive. What makes Lima so extraordinary is its role as a gateway. It's where most travelers first arrive in Peru, but it's also the perfect introduction to the country's spirit. In this city, you can touch the past, taste the present, and see glimpses of the future. It's here that Peru begins to reveal itself not as a single story, but as 1,000 stories woven together. As the sun sets over the Pacific, the cliffs of Lima glow gold, and the ocean reflects shades of crimson and orange. From the noise of the city to the silence of the sea, Lima captures the full spectrum of life. This is the first step of our journey, and it already shows us what Peru is about. A land of contrasts, where history and modernity embrace, and where every moment holds a sense of wonder. And so, as we stand on the cliffs of Miraflores, gazing out over the endless horizon, we ask ourselves, if Lima alone holds this much history, culture, and beauty, what other treasures lie waiting in the mountains, deserts, and jungles of Peru? Our journey has just begun. Imagine standing at the edge of a desert where golden waves of sand rise higher than skyscrapers, stretching endlessly into the horizon. The air is hot and dry, and the landscape seems lifeless until suddenly, like a vision, a shimmering lagoon appears. Palm trees sway gently in the breeze, colorful boats float on calm waters, and an oasis village rests peacefully under the blazing sun. This is Huacachina, Peru's desert jewel, a place so unlikely, so magical, it feels like it was pulled straight from the pages of a fairy tale. Nestled in the vast Ica Desert, just hours away from Lima, Huacachina is a tiny oasis, surrounded by towering dunes that can reach over 300 feet high. To many travelers, it feels almost impossible that such a place could exist. Imagine walking across the scorching sands, feeling the heat radiate from the ground, and then suddenly coming upon this sparkling lagoon, a refuge of life in the middle of endless desert. For centuries, locals believed its waters had healing powers, and even today, the lagoon remains wrapped in legends. One story tells of an Inca princess who wept for her lost love. Her tears formed the lagoon, and she herself was transformed into a mermaid who still lives beneath its waters. But Huacachina is not just a peaceful oasis, it's also an adventurer's paradise. By day, the dunes become a playground for thrill seekers. The most popular way to experience them is aboard a roaring dune buggy. Hold on tight as the driver takes you racing up massive sand mountains, pausing only at the very top before plunging down near vertical slopes that make your stomach drop. It's like a roller coaster built by nature, where the track is constantly shifting sand. The wind whips against your face, the engine roars, and for a moment, you feel like the desert itself is alive. And then there's sandboarding, the desert's answer to snowboarding. Climb to the top of a dune, strap a board to your feet, and launch yourself down slopes of golden sand. Some dunes are small, perfect for beginners, but others stretch so far that you can barely see the bottom. Imagine sliding at incredible speeds, the desert air rushing past you, the silence only broken by the scrape of sand against your board. For those who dare, you can even lie flat on your stomach and rock it down like a human sled, feeling every grain of sand beneath you. It's pure adrenaline, surrounded by one of the most surreal landscapes in the world. Yet Huacachina isn't only about thrills. At sunset, the desert transforms into something magical. As the sun sinks lower, the dunes catch fire with shades of gold, red, and purple. Climb one of the highest peaks, sit quietly at the top, and watch as the shadows stretch across the desert floor. From up here, the oasis looks impossibly small, just a dot of green and blue in an ocean of sand. And as the stars begin to appear, the desert reveals another side of itself. Silence. A silence so deep that you can hear your own heartbeat. The night sky here is endless, filled with constellations so clear it feels like you could reach out and touch them. But Huacachina also has a killer charm. The small village that surrounds the lagoon is filled with cozy hostels, rustic restaurants, and lively bars where travelers from around the world come together. Backpackers share stories over cold drinks, musicians play guitars by the water, and the sound of laughter fills the warm desert air. For some, Huacachina is just a stop on the way to other destinations. But for many, it becomes a place that lingers in memory, a rare oasis where adventure, beauty, and legend all meet. And yet, behind its beauty lies fragility. The lagoon, once fed by underground aquifers, has shrunk over the years due to human use and changes in the environment. Today, it relies on artificial water sources to survive. It's a reminder that even the most magical places are not eternal, and that they depend on our care to endure. The desert has stood here for millennia, but the oasis, this shimmering miracle of water in the sands, remains vulnerable. Huacachina teaches us something profound. It shows us that life can flourish in the most unexpected places, that beauty can rise out of emptiness, and that even in the harshest deserts, there can be refuge. It's a place where myth and reality blur, where adrenaline and tranquility coexist, and where every sunset feels like a gift from the earth itself. So as you sit by the lagoon at night, listening to the rustling palms and the quiet splash of oars on the water, you might wonder how many more wonders like this lie hidden across Peru. If a desert can hold a secret like Huacachina, what secrets must the mountains and jungles keep? Our journey is far from over, and the mysteries of Peru are only just beginning. What would you think if I told you that, in the middle of Peru's desert, massive drawings so large they can only be seen from the sky stretch across the barren earth? Imagine giant hummingbirds, monkeys, and spirals carved into the desert floor, perfectly preserved for over 1,000 years. These are the Nazca Lines, one of the greatest mysteries on Earth, and perhaps one of humanity's most enduring puzzles. The Nazca Desert, where these geoglyphs are found, is one of the driest places in the world. Rain rarely falls here, and the wind is almost non-existent. For centuries, this extreme climate has protected these fragile markings, allowing them to survive untouched. The lines themselves were created by removing the reddish surface stones to reveal the lighter-colored sand beneath, forming shapes so precise and vast that they could never be fully appreciated from the ground. It's as if the creators designed them for eyes in the sky long before humans could ever fly. The scale of the Nazca Lines is astonishing. Some stretch more than 200 feet long, and together they cover nearly 200 square miles of desert. There are hundreds of designs, geometric shapes like trapezoids and spirals, animals like condors, whales, lizards, and spiders, and even human-like figures with outstretched arms. The most famous, the hummingbird, is drawn with a single, continuous line that spans more than 300 feet. From above, it looks almost alive, wings stretched in eternal flight over the desert plain. But the question is, why? Why would the Nazca people, who lived between 200 BCE and 600 CE, invest so much effort in creating these massive geoglyphs, knowing they could never see them in full from the ground? Archaeologists have debated this mystery for decades. Some believe the lines were ceremonial pathways, walked during rituals dedicated to their gods. Others suggest they were a kind of astronomical calendar, aligning with the solstices, the stars, and the movement of celestial bodies. Still others think they were messages to the sky gods, prayers for water in this arid desert where life depended on the rains. And then there are the more unusual theories. Some say the Nazca Lines were landing strips for ancient visitors from beyond the stars. The idea may sound far-fetched, but when you fly over the desert and see these perfect geometric runways stretching into the horizon, it's hard not to let your imagination wander. Were they truly messages for gods or something else? The mystery only deepens with every discovery. Today, the best way to experience the Nazca Lines is from the air. Small planes take travelers soaring over the desert, dipping and turning to reveal each figure below. As the pilot points out the shapes, your eyes adjust to the vast scale, and suddenly the desert comes alive with images carved into the earth. It's an experience that leaves you speechless. You're not just looking at art, you're looking at a message across time, written in a language we still don't fully understand. But the Nazca Lines are not only about mystery, they are also a reminder of the ingenuity of ancient civilizations. Without modern technology, without machines, The Nazca people designed and executed these massive works with only simple tools, a deep understanding of geometry, and extraordinary dedication. They transformed the desert into a canvas, and in doing so, left behind one of the greatest legacies of human creativity. Standing in the desert, surrounded by endless sand and silence, you can almost feel their presence. The sun beats down, the earth glows red, and the lines stretch into infinity. You realize that the people who lived here were not so different from us. They looked to the sky, searched for meaning in the stars, and tried to leave behind something eternal. In many ways, the Nazca Lines are not just drawings, they are a bridge between the human spirit and the heavens. Yeah, these wonders are fragile. Modern threats such as urban expansion, illegal mining, and even careless tourism risk damaging the lines that have survived for centuries. In recent years, preservation efforts have intensified, but the Nazca Lines remain vulnerable. Protecting them means protecting not only Peru's heritage, but also one of humanity's greatest unsolved mysteries. When you finally leave Nazca, the images stay with you. They're etched not just into the desert, but into your imagination. The hummingbird still flies, the monkey still coils its tail, and the spirals still spin endlessly into the earth. The Nazca Lines remind us that history is not only written in books, it's carved into the land itself. And in Peru, the land speaks with a voice older than memory, inviting us to listen, to wonder, and to dream. So as the plane banks away and the desert fades into the horizon, you can't help but ask yourself, were the Nazca people trying to communicate with gods or with us? Were these figures meant to be prayers, warnings, or stories? Perhaps the answer lies not in solving the mystery, but in embracing it. Because some wonders are meant to remain unsolved so that they can continue to inspire us forever. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine walking through a city where every stone tells a story, where ancient walls still stand strong after centuries of earthquakes, and where the streets themselves seem alive with history. This is Cusco, the beating heart of the Inca Empire, once the most powerful civilization in South America. To step into Cusco is to step into a living museum where the past and present are forever intertwined. High in the Andes, at over 0 feet above sea level, Cusco greets you with thin air and breathtaking views. The first thing you notice is the energy, the rhythm of footsteps on cobblestone streets, the colors of traditional Andean textiles, the sound of Quechua, the language of the Incas, still spoken today. Cusco is more than just a city. It is the soul of Peru. Long before the Spanish conquest, Cusco was the capital of the Inca Empire, an empire that stretched from Colombia to Chile, ruling millions of people. The Incas called it the navel of the world, the center of their universe. Walking through the city today, you can still see the precision of Inca stonework walls, built so perfectly that not even a blade of grass can fit between the stones. These walls have withstood earthquakes that destroyed much of the Spanish colonial architecture, proving the genius of Inca engineering. One of the most fascinating places in Cusco is the Coricancha, the Temple of the Sun, once the most sacred temple of the Inca Empire. Its walls were once covered in sheets of pure gold, glowing in the sunlight. Imagine arriving here centuries ago, the brilliance of gold reflecting across the city, a symbol of power and devotion to Inti, the sun god. When the Spanish arrived, they stripped the temple of its treasures and built the Santo Domingo church on top of it. Today, you can still see the base of the Inca temple, with its perfectly cut stones supporting the colonial church above. It's a powerful symbol of two worlds colliding, Inca and Spanish, past and present. But Cusco is not just about monuments. The city is alive with culture. The Plaza de Armas, Cusco's central square, is a gathering place where locals and travelers meet. Street performers dance to Andean music, children chase pigeons across the square, and the twin towers of the Cathedral of Cusco stand tall, guarding centuries of history. Around the plaza, narrow streets lead you into neighborhoods like San Blas, the artist's quarter, where whitewashed houses and blue balconies overlook the city below. Here, workshops are filled with painters, sculptors, and weavers keeping centuries-old traditions alive. Everywhere you go in Cusco, you'll find markets overflowing with colors. San Pedro Market is the most famous, a sensory explosion of sights, sounds, and smells. Pyramids of exotic fruits, stacks of handmade textiles, the scent of roasted corn and fresh bread. It's a place where you can truly feel the heartbeat of daily life. And if you're brave enough, try traditional Andean dishes like kai or guinea pig, a delicacy served with potatoes and hot peppers. Beyond the city itself lies the Sacred Valley, a land of green valleys, rushing rivers, and terraced mountainsides that once fed an empire. The Incas transformed these steep landscapes into vast agricultural terraces, turning the Andes into a living machine of food production. Even today, the valley feels enchanted. In Pisac, ancient terraces climb the mountains, blending seamlessly with the natural landscape. In Ollantaytambo, an Inca fortress town, you can still walk streets laid out centuries ago, where the sound of water channels flows just as it did during the empire's peak. The Sacred Valley is also a place of spirit. Many travelers come here not just to see ruins, but to connect with Andean traditions that are still alive. Shamans perform ceremonies, honoring Pachamama, Mother Earth, offering coca leaves and prayers for balance and harmony. Festivals fill the valley with music, dance, and color, as ancient rituals merge with modern celebrations. And yet, what makes Cusco and the Sacred Valley truly remarkable is the feeling they leave within you. This is not just history you read about in books, it's history you can touch, walk through, and feel in your bones. It's the sound of footsteps echoing on Inca stone, the sight of llamas grazing beneath snow-capped peaks, the taste of fresh corn roasted on the fire. It's the realization that you are standing in the very center of a world that once ruled the Andes. As night falls in Cusco, the city lights twinkle against the dark mountains, and the air cools under a blanket of stars. You stand there, breathing the thin air of the Andes, knowing that this city has witnessed centuries of triumph and tragedy, conquest and survival. Cusco is not just a destination, it's a reminder of resilience, of culture that refuses to fade, of a spirit that endures. And as you prepare to continue your journey deeper into the Andes, there is one thought that lingers. If Cusco and the Sacred Valley hold this much wonder, what awaits at the crown jewel of the Inca world, Machu Picchu? High in the clouds, where the mountains pierce the sky and the mist rolls like a living veil, there lies a place so mysterious, so breathtaking, that it has become one of the greatest wonders of the world. This is Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Incas, the crown jewel of Peru, and one of the most iconic destinations on Earth. To see it with your own eyes is to step into a dream, a place where time stands still and the spirit of an ancient civilization whispers through the stones. The journey to Machu Picchu is almost as magical as the destination itself. Many travelers choose the Inca Trail, a 4-day trek through cloud forests, ancient ruins, and steep mountain passes. Each step along the trail brings you closer to the heart of the Inca world. You walk paths carved centuries ago, through landscapes where orchids bloom, hummingbirds hover, and the Andes rise in dramatic peaks all around. The trail is not easy, the air is thin, the climbs are steep, but every moment builds anticipation for what lies ahead. For those who don't take the trek, a train winds its way from Cusco and the Sacred Valley, following the rushing waters of the Urubamba River. The scenery unfolds like a painting, snow-capped peaks giving way to lush green valleys, waterfalls cascading down cliffs, and jungle vines creeping toward the tracks. By the time you arrive in Aguas Calientes, the town at the base of the mountain, the excitement is almost unbearable. And then comes the moment, the climb to Machu Picchu itself. As you rise higher into the clouds, the mist parts, and suddenly it appears. Stone terraces cascading down the mountainside, temples and houses perched on cliffs, all framed by the towering peak of Huayna Picchu. The sight is so surreal, so otherworldly, that many visitors are moved to silence, even to tears. Machu Picchu is not just a ruin, it is a masterpiece. A city in harmony with the mountains, the sky, and the earth. Historians believe Machu Picchu was built in the 15th century under the Inca Emperor Pachacuti. Yet, it was never discovered by the Spanish conquerors, and for centuries it lay hidden, forgotten by the outside world, until American explorer Hiram Bingham brought it to international attention in 1911. Since then, it has captivated millions, yet many of its secrets remain unsolved. Was it a royal estate? A religious sanctuary? A city of astronomers and priests? Or perhaps a combination of all these? What makes Machu Picchu extraordinary is not only its mystery but its precision. The Incas built with such skill that the massive stone blocks fit together without mortar, so tightly that even earthquakes could not shake them apart. Terraces carved into the steep slopes prevented erosion and created farmland to feed the people. Water channels carried fresh mountain water throughout the city. Everywhere you look, you see genius and understanding of architecture, agriculture, and astronomy far ahead of its time. One of the most sacred sites in Machu Picchu is the Intihuatana, often called the hitching post of the sun. This carved stone pillar is believed to have been used as a solar clock or calendar, aligning with the sun during the solstices. Stand before it, and you realize the Incas were not just builders, they were astronomers, philosophers, and dreamers who sought to connect earth and sky. As you explore the ruins, you feel the presence of those who once walked these paths. The Temple of the Sun, with its curved walls and sacred windows, still catches the morning light. The Temple of the Three Windows frames the mountains beyond, perhaps symbolizing the three levels of Inca belief: the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. The terraces, green and vibrant, still cling to the cliffs like steps to the sky. But perhaps the true magic of Machu Picchu is not in its stones, it's in its setting. The city sits on a narrow ridge, surrounded on all sides by sheer cliffs that drop into the Urubamba River far below. Lush green peaks rise around it, shrouded in mist that drifts and dances with the wind. At sunrise, the first rays of light break through the clouds, illuminating the stones in golden fire. At sunset, the mountains glow in shades of orange and purple, as if the earth itself is alive. And in the silence, broken only by the calls of birds and the rustle of the wind, you begin to understand. Machu Picchu was not just a city, it was a sanctuary. A place where humans and nature lived in harmony, where the mountains were not obstacles, but sacred guardians, where the sky was not distant, but a living part of daily life. Today, Machu Picchu is visited by thousands each day, yet its spirit endures. Standing here, you feel a connection not only to the Incas, but to something eternal, the timeless beauty of the earth, the mystery of the past, and the reminder that we are part of something much greater than ourselves. As you take one last look at Machu Picchu, the mist rolling back over its terraces, you realize this is more than a wonder of the world. It's a wonder of the human spirit, and it leaves you with one question. If the Incas could build such a masterpiece here, high in the clouds, what other secrets might still be hidden in the mountains and jungles of Peru, waiting to be discovered? High in the Andes, at nearly 500 feet above sea level, lies a place so vast, so surreal, that it feels like standing at the edge of the sky. This is Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world, a shimmering sea of blue stretching between Peru and Bolivia. For centuries, it has been more than just water. To the Andean people, it is sacred. Legends say it was from these waters that the very first Incas emerged, sent by the sun god to bring civilization to the Andes. Here, myth and reality merge, and every ripple on the lake feels like it carries whispers of the past. The lake is enormous, over 120 miles long, and so deep that it holds more water than any other lake in South America. On a clear day, the horizon disappears into a haze of blue, as if the lake has no end. Snow-capped mountains rise in the distance, reflecting perfectly in the still waters. The air is thin, the light is bright, and the silence is profound. Standing on the shores of Titicaca, you feel small, as though you are standing on the roof of the world. But what makes Lake Titicaca truly extraordinary are the people who call it home. The Uros, an ancient community, live on floating islands made entirely of reeds. Imagine stepping onto a floor that feels soft beneath your feet, swaying gently with the waves. These islands are not natural. They are built by hand, layer upon layer of totara reeds harvested from the lake itself. Every few weeks, new reeds are added on top because the ones below slowly rot away. The houses, the boats, even the very ground you walk on, all are woven from these reeds. It is a life both fragile and ingenious, born from necessity and survival. The Uros people have lived on Lake Titicaca for centuries, originally building their floating islands to escape rivals and invaders. Today, they continue to preserve this unique way of life, fishing the lake's waters, hunting birds, and crafting reed boats shaped like dragons. Visitors are welcomed warmly, with songs, smiles, and demonstrations of their traditions. Yet, there is also resilience here, a determination to survive in harmony with one of the most challenging environments on Earth. Beyond the floating islands lies Tranquil, a larger island famous for its weavers. On Tranquil, the community thrives on ancient customs, and clothing tells its own story. Men knit intricate hats that reveal their marital status, red for married, red and white for single. Women wear wide skirts and colorful shawls, each pattern carrying meaning passed down through generations. Walking through the stone pathways of Tranquil, you feel as though time has stopped. The people live simply, farming potatoes, herding sheep, and weaving traditions into every piece of cloth. And then there is Amantani, another island where life is even quieter. No cars, no noise, only terraced hillsides, stone paths, and homes where visitors are welcomed as family. At night, locals gather for music and dance, inviting travelers to share in their joy. On clear evenings, the stars blaze so brightly over the lake that the sky feels alive, mirroring the shimmering waters below. It's a reminder that here, at the top of the Andes, life moves at its own pace, slow, deliberate, deeply connected to nature. Lake Titicaca is also rich in legend. According to Inca mythology, it was from this lake that Manco Capac and Mama Oclo, the first Inca rulers, emerged. Sent by the sun god, they carried a golden staff and were told to build a city where the staff sank into the ground. That place became Cusco, the heart of the Inca Empire. In this way, Lake Titicaca is not just a geographical wonder, it is the birthplace of a civilization, the cradle of Andean culture. Modern science adds another layer of mystery. Beneath the surface of the lake, archaeologists have discovered ancient ruins, stone structures, and even what appears to be a submerged temple. These findings suggest that long before the Incas, other advanced cultures lived around and within these waters. Imagine what secrets still lie hidden beneath the lake, untouched for centuries, waiting to be revealed. But beyond history and legend, Lake Titicaca leaves an impression that cannot be measured in facts or discoveries. It is a place of profound beauty, where sky and water blend into one, where life continues much as it did centuries ago, and where the soul feels both humbled and uplifted. Watching the sun rise over the lake, painting the waters in gold, or seeing it set in fiery crimson as the mountains turn to silhouettes, you realize you are witnessing something timeless. Lake Titicaca is not just a destination, it's an experience. It teaches us about resilience, tradition, and the deep connection between people and the land they inhabit. It shows us that even in the harshest conditions, life not only survives but thrives. And as you leave its shores, you carry with you a sense of wonder, as though you've touched something eternal. The lake whispers its stories to those who listen. Stories of gods and heroes, of survival and tradition, of beauty that transcends time. And you can't help but wonder, if Lake Titicaca holds such mysteries above and below its waters, what other secrets lie hidden in the vast jungles and mountains of Peru, still waiting to be uncovered? Deep in the eastern lowlands of Peru, far from the dry deserts and high peaks of the Andes, lies a world that feels like another planet altogether. A place where the air is heavy with moisture, where the trees rise like towering cathedrals, and where every sound, every shadow could belong to something alive and unseen. This is the Amazon rainforest, the beating green heart of Peru. Step inside, and it's as if you've entered Earth's oldest living library, where every leaf, every river, every whisper of the wind holds secrets that humans are only beginning to understand. The Peruvian Amazon covers nearly 60% of the country, making it one of the most biodiverse regions on the planet. Imagine endless stretches of emerald canopy, stretching as far as the eye can see, broken only by winding rivers glinting in the sunlight. From above, it looks like an ocean of green. From within, it feels like a labyrinth alive with mystery. This is a place where jaguars roam silently in the undergrowth, where pink river dolphins leap gracefully in muddy waters, and where tribes still live much as their ancestors did centuries ago, in harmony with the forest. At the heart of this vast wilderness lies Iquitos, the largest city in the world that cannot be reached by road. To arrive here, you must fly or travel by boat down the Amazon River. And once you do, you discover a city buzzing with life, markets overflowing with exotic fruits, streets echoing with the hum of motorbikes, and a riverfront that feels like a gateway to adventure. From Iquitos, travelers set off on journeys deep into the jungle, venturing into remote lodges, wildlife reserves, and villages hidden in the rainforest. The Amazon is alive, with sound of monkeys screeching from the treetops, parrots calling out in vibrant bursts of color, frogs croaking in the night like a symphony of nature. And then there are the creatures you don't see, but feel the rustle of leaves as something slithers by, the glowing eyes that watch you at dusk, the countless insects that remind you this is their world, not yours. Scientists estimate that 1 in 10 known species on Earth lives in the Amazon, and many more are yet to be discovered. It is a living ark, carrying the wonders of evolution in every corner. But the rainforest is not just about wildlife, it is also about people. Indigenous communities like the Shipibo, the Ashaninka, and the Matses have lived here for generations, drawing wisdom from the forest. To them, the Amazon is not just home, it is a living being, a provider, a teacher. Their traditions, songs, and medicines are woven from the plants and animals around them. Shamans use the ayahuasca vine, a powerful plant medicine, to connect with the spirit world, offering a glimpse into a worldview where the forest itself is alive with energy and meaning. One of the great wonders of the Peruvian Amazon is the Pacaya Samiria National Reserve, often called the Jungle of Mirrors because of its stunning flooded forests. Here, the waters are so still that they perfectly reflect the trees and sky, creating the illusion of walking through another dimension. It is also a sanctuary for endangered species. Giant river otters, manatees, black caimans, and hundreds of bird species thrive here. To glide through these mirrored waters at sunrise, as the forest awakens, is to witness nature at its most magical. And then there is the mighty Amazon River itself, the lifeline of the jungle. Born high in the Andes, it gathers strength as countless tributaries merge, until it becomes the largest river on Earth by volume. Standing on its banks, you cannot see the other side. It is a river of stories, carrying trade, culture, and life across thousands of miles. For those who live along its shores, the river is everything: transportation, food, water, and identity. To journey down the Amazon by boat is to trace the veins of the earth itself. Yet, the Amazon also reminds us of fragility. Despite its immensity, it is under constant threat from deforestation, mining, and climate change. Every tree cut, every river polluted, takes away from this ancient balance that sustains not only Peru but the world. Because the Amazon is more than just a forest, it is a vital lung of the planet, producing the oxygen we breathe and regulating the climate that allows us to live. Protecting it is not just about saving wildlife, but about safeguarding our own future. But beyond the warnings, the Peruvian Amazon leaves visitors with an overwhelming sense of awe. Imagine drifting in a canoe under the glow of a full moon, the water sparkling with bioluminescence, fireflies dancing above the trees. Imagine waking to the call of howler monkeys, their roars echoing like distant thunder, reminding you that this is their domain. Imagine tasting fruits you've never seen before, learning words from ancient languages, and realizing how much of the world remains undiscovered. The Amazon is not simply a destination, it is an awakening. It makes you see how interconnected life truly is, how delicate yet powerful nature can be, and how much wisdom exists beyond the walls of modern civilization. In its vast silence and symphony of life, the Amazon challenges us to look inward, to question how we live, and to remember that we, too, are part of this great web of existence. So when you leave the rainforest, covered in its humidity, marked by mosquito bites, and filled with memories of sights and sounds you cannot fully explain, you realize that the Amazon never truly leaves you. Its spirit lingers, a reminder of both the majesty of creation and the responsibility we carry to protect it. Because in the depths of the Peruvian Amazon, you don't just find nature, you find the very essence of life itself. There are places in the world that feel like a bridge between earth and sky, where time seems to slow and history whispers from every stone. In Peru, that place is the sacred valley of the Incas, a land so breathtaking, so full of energy, that it feels as if the mountains themselves are alive. This valley, carved by the waters of the Urubamba River and cradled by towering Andean peaks, was once the heart of the Inca Empire. To step into it is to step into a living museum, where culture, nature, and spirituality blend into one unforgettable experience. The sacred valley lies between Cusco and Machu Picchu, but it is far more than just a passageway. It is a destination in its own right, filled with vibrant towns, ancient ruins, colorful markets, and landscapes that change with every turn. The Incas chose this valley not by chance, but by design. It offered fertile soil, a mild climate, and natural defenses, making it the perfect cradle for their civilization. Today, visitors are welcomed into a world where the legacy of the Incas still breathes in the fields, the terraces, and the traditions of the people who call this place home. One of the first wonders that captures travelers is Pisac, a town famous for its sprawling ruins and bustling artisan market. High above the town, the Pisac archaeological site stretches across the mountain, with agricultural terraces carved like giant steps leading to temples and ceremonial spaces. From the top, the view is awe-inspiring rolling hills, the shimmering river below, and the Andes standing tall in the distance. Down in the village, the market comes alive with colors, hand-woven textiles, silver jewelry, pottery, and food stalls offering flavors passed down through generations. It is not just a place to shop, but to connect with the artistry and heritage of Andean culture. Further along the valley lies Ollantaytambo, a place that feels frozen in time. Its cobblestone streets, narrow alleys, and stone houses are some of the best preserved examples of Inca urban planning. But above the town, perched dramatically on the hillside, rises the fortress of Ollantaytambo, a site that was once both a ceremonial center and a stronghold against Spanish conquest. Climbing its steep terraces, you can feel the weight of history, as if the stones themselves remember the battles fought here. At sunrise, the fortress glows golden, a reminder of the enduring spirit of the Inca people. The sacred valley is also home to one of the most fascinating Inca mysteries, the Maras salt mines. Imagine thousands of shallow pools carved into the mountainside, each shimmering with salt that has been harvested since pre-Inca times. Fed by a single mineral-rich spring, the terraces create a dazzling mosaic of white against the brown earth. Walking among them, you feel a connection to centuries of tradition, as families still gather salt here by hand, just as their ancestors did. It is a place where past and present meet in the simplest yet most extraordinary way. And then there are the circular terraces of Moray, one of the most unusual archaeological sites in Peru. From above, They look like giant green amphitheaters carved into the earth, but they are much more than that. Scholars believe Moray was an agricultural laboratory where the Incas experimented with crops at different altitudes and microclimates. Each level of the terraces has its own temperature and conditions, making it a natural greenhouse designed with astonishing precision. Standing at its center, you cannot help but marvel at the ingenuity of a civilization that understood nature so deeply. But beyond the ruins and wonders, the Sacred Valley is alive with traditions. Villages like Chinchero are known for their weaving, where women use ancient techniques to dye and spin alpaca wool into intricate textiles, each pattern telling a story of family, land, and belief. Festivals fill the valley with music and dance, blending Catholic rituals with Inca symbolism in a vibrant expression of cultural fusion. To visit is not just to see the valley, but to feel its heartbeat, carried in the rhythm of drums, the colors of costumes, and the warmth of its people. The landscape itself is part of the valley's magic. Snow-capped peaks rise above fertile fields where corn, potatoes, and quinoa grow, just as they did centuries ago. The Urubamba River winds like a silver thread through the valley, nourishing life and shaping the land. At sunset, the mountains turn shades of pink and gold, and the sky seems impossibly vast. Travelers often speak of the energy here, a spiritual pull that is hard to explain but impossible to ignore. Many believe the valley holds sacred power, a connection between the earth and the divine. To journey through the Sacred Valley is to walk in the footsteps of the Incas, but also to discover something deeply personal. It is a place that invites, offering not only history and beauty, but also a reminder of balance. The balance between humans and nature, between tradition and progress, between past and present. The Incas understood this balance, and the valley still carries their wisdom in every stone and every breeze. When you leave the Sacred Valley, its memory lingers, the sight of golden terraces climbing into the sky, the sound of Quechua spoken in the streets, the taste of freshly baked cornbread, and the feeling of standing in a place where history and spirit are inseparable. It is more than a destination, it is an awakening, a reminder that some places are not just seen, but felt deep within the soul. Because the Sacred Valley of the Incas is not just a valley, it is a living legacy, a sacred gift that continues to inspire all who walk its ancient paths. Imagine standing on the edge of a vast, shimmering body of water so high in the mountains that clouds seem to drift just above its surface. This is not just any lake, it is Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world, resting at over 500 feet above sea level. For centuries, it has been a place of myth, mystery, and cultural survival. Legends say that from these waters, the founders of the Inca Empire, Manco Capac and Mama Oclo, were born. To gaze upon Lake Titicaca is to look at the birthplace of civilizations, a mirror of the sky, and a world where people still live in ways that seem untouched by time. The lake straddles the border between Peru and Bolivia, stretching endlessly into the horizon, its surface reflecting the Andean sun like a sea of silver. It is not just a natural wonder, it is a cradle of life and tradition. And at its heart lies one of the most extraordinary marvels of human ingenuity, the floating islands of Uros. These islands are unlike anything else in the world. Constructed entirely out of totara reeds, they are handmade, built and rebuilt over generations by the Uros people. When you step onto one, the ground beneath your feet is soft, springy, almost alive, as though the island itself is breathing. The Uros have been building and living on these islands for centuries, creating an existence that floats literally on the water. The totara reeds are everything. They are used to build the islands, the houses, the boats, and even as food. The roots of the reeds are tightly woven together, while layers are added to keep the islands firm and buoyant. But it is a never-ending task. The islands must constantly be maintained, with new reeds added to replace the old ones that rot away beneath the water. It is a way of life that requires resilience, patience, and a deep connection to nature. Walking across the island, you find small homes with thatched roofs, schools for children, and even watchtowers that look across the shimmering expanse of the lake. The Uros live largely as their ancestors did, fishing in the waters, hunting birds, and harvesting reeds. Their traditional boats, shaped like dragons or birds, glide across the lake with a beauty that feels timeless. Each island has its own community, and together they form a network of floating villages that have survived against the odds, preserving a culture as delicate and resilient as the reeds themselves. But Lake Titicaca is more than the Uros. It is dotted with islands that hold their own stories and traditions. Take Tranquil Island, for instance, a place where the culture of the Quechua people thrives, and where weaving is not just art, but identity. On Tranquil, men knit intricate hats called chulos that tell of their marital status and role in society, while women weave belts and blankets filled with patterns that pass down knowledge from generation to generation. Life here is simple, but rich fields of potatoes and quinoa, narrow stone paths, and views of the lake so vast that they seem to stretch forever. Another gem of the lake is Amantani Island, known for its twin peaks, Pachacata and Pachamama, shrines dedicated to ancient deities of Father Earth and Mother Earth. To climb them is to join a pilgrimage of spirit, rewarded by a sunset that sets the sky ablaze with colors. From the top, the lake glows like a jewel, and the horizon feels endless, a reminder of the spiritual significance Lake Titicaca has always held. Here, life moves to the rhythm of nature. Families welcome travelers into their homes, offering food, stories, and dances that echo centuries of tradition. Staying on Amantani is more than a visit, it is a journey into the heart of Andean hospitality. Yet perhaps the most powerful part of Lake Titicaca is its sense of myth. The Incas believed this was the place where the sun itself was born. The lake is filled with sacred sites, submerged temples, islands that were once ceremonial centers, and legends that speak of gods who walked among men. Even today, many locals see the lake not just as water, but as a living being, a source of life and spiritual energy. And while the traditions remain strong, Lake Titicaca is not untouched by the modern world. Tourism has brought both opportunity and challenge, offering income for communities but also testing their delicate way of life. The balance between preserving ancient traditions and adapting to new realities is an ongoing struggle. Yet, standing on the shores or gliding across its waters, you cannot help but feel that the lake itself will endure, as it always has a silent witness to centuries of change. To visit Lake Titicaca is to be humbled. It is a place that challenges your idea of what is possible, of how humans adapt, survive, and thrive in the harshest of environments. It is where water meets sky, where myth meets reality, and where the spirit of the Andes seems to rise with every ripple on the lake's surface. When you leave, you carry with you not just images of floating islands and endless waters, but a sense of wonder that here, high above the world, life has found a way to float, to endure, and to inspire. Lake Titicaca is not simply a destination, it is a living legend, a mirror of both the heavens above and the human spirit below. Deep in the heart of Peru, far from the snow-capped Andes and the arid coast, lies a world so vast and untamed that it seems to breathe with its own rhythm. The Peruvian Amazon, a place where life doesn't just exist, it explodes in every direction, in every color, in every sound. Imagine stepping into a world where the air is thick with the scent of earth and rain, where the cries of unseen animals echo through towering trees, and where every step could reveal a new species, unknown to science. The Amazon is more than a jungle. It is the lungs of the earth, the cradle of biodiversity, and one of Peru's greatest natural wonders. Covering nearly 60% of Peru's land, the Amazon is not just a forest, it is an entire universe. From the moment you set foot in Iquitos, the largest city in the world, inaccessible by road, you realize that this is no ordinary journey. The Amazon demands respect. It swallows roads, It creates rivers as wide as seas, and it shelters creatures so rare and extraordinary that they seem born from legends. Here, jaguars prowl silently through the undergrowth. Pink river dolphins swim in waters that shimmer with sunlight, and macaws burst across the sky in dazzling colors. Traveling into the Amazon, the river becomes your lifeline. Boats glide through its endless channels, carrying you deeper into the unknown. Along the way, you see villages on stilts, homes built to rise above the floods of the rainy season. Children wave from the banks, playing in the same waters where fishermen cast their nets and where caimans lurk with ancient patience. The people of the Amazon, from indigenous tribes to river communities, have learned to live in perfect harmony with the jungle. They know its secrets, how to find medicine in its plants, how to read its signs, how to survive in a place that can be both generous and unforgiving. The biodiversity of the Amazon is unmatched. Scientists estimate that 1 in every 10 known species on Earth lives here. It is home to more bird species than any other place on the planet. Harpy eagles with wingspans wider than a man is tall, toucans with beaks that glow like fire, and hummingbirds that flicker like living jewels. In the water, giant anacondas glide silently, electric eels spark with deadly force, and schools of piranhas ripple beneath the surface. But for every predator, there are countless marvels, frogs that glow with bright colors, orchids that bloom high in the canopy, and insects so intricate they look like works of art. And then there are the sounds. The Amazon is never silent. At dawn, the jungle erupts with the calls of howler monkeys, so loud they can be heard miles away. During the day, the buzzing of insects creates an endless hum, a soundtrack of life in motion. At night, the forest transforms again. Frogs croak in hypnotic rhythms, unseen creatures stir in the darkness, and the stars above glimmer through openings in the canopy. To sleep in the Amazon is to surrender yourself to the heartbeat of nature itself. But the Amazon is not just about raw beauty. It is a place of deep spiritual significance. For indigenous peoples, the forest is alive, sacred, and filled with spirits. Shamans use plants like ayahuasca in rituals that connect them to realms beyond the physical, seeking healing, wisdom, and balance. Every tree, every river, every animal carries meaning, part of a web of life that has sustained humanity for millennia. The forest is not separate from them, it is them. Yeah, this paradise is fragile. The Amazon faces threats from deforestation, mining, and the pressures of modern life. Ancient trees that have stood for centuries can be lost in moments, and with them, species that may never be discovered. The struggle to protect this ecosystem is not just Peru's, it is humanity's. For the Amazon is not only the lungs of South America, it is the lungs of the world, producing oxygen, storing carbon, and shaping our climate. To lose it would be to lose a part of ourselves. Still, when you are here, hope feels alive. Conservation projects, eco-lodges, and local communities are working together to preserve the forest, inviting travelers to witness its majesty in a way that respects and protects it. To journey into the Amazon is to become part of this mission, to understand that every choice we make ripples into this vast, interconnected system of life. As your boat drifts back along the river, with the sun setting in fiery shades of orange and gold, the Amazon leaves you with a feeling unlike any other. It is awe, it is humility, and it is wonder. This is not just another destination on a map, it is a reminder of the raw, unshakable power of nature. The Amazon is alive, and it will change you forever. Peru's wonders are endless, but perhaps none is as profound as this living cathedral of life. In the depths of the Amazon, you discover not just the wild heart of a nation, but the wild heart of the world. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed exploring Prague as much as I enjoyed guiding you through it. If you found this travel guide helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more beautiful destinations from around the world. Got a favorite spot in Prague? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, safe travels and see you in the next video.